We love each other very deeply, but we don't know how we got here. We don't even know what we're even fighting about anymore. We just know that we can't keep doing this. And suddenly, they're not even talking about picking up the kid anymore. They're talking about trust, responsibility, and whether it's emotionally safe to depend on each other at all.
This couple here, they have some typical things that can lead to divorce if it's not touched upon.
The more Mindy presses, the more Mark retreats. The more Mark retreats, the more anxious Mindy becomes. So my question is, how does helping couples name the pattern change the way they see each other during conflict? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Branches of Hope podcast. I'm Rachel, and I'm here with the lovely
Tina Smith, LPC.
And it's been a while. We have taken a hiatus, but if you know us, we're so happy to be back. And we've missed you so much. And we have missed having these wonderful mental health conversations. Okay, well, today's episode is about something that comes up in almost every relationship, and it's miscommunication, emotional distance, and what it actually takes to repair communication after things break down. So let's talk about this. We're starting from a very real place. We've come up with a fictitious couple that has decided to walk into your therapy room, Tina.
Okay.
So
Okay.
here we go. So Mindy and Mark are sitting on a couch in your office, and they're not yelling, they're not crying, they're just exhausted. They tell you that we fight all the time. We love each other very deeply, but we don't know how we got here. We don't even know what we're even fighting about anymore. We just know that we can't keep doing this. They're not sure that they can stay married, and that really scares them because neither of them wants out. They just want the pain and the distance to stop. So, what is the first thing you would pay attention to with this couple?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is to commend them for wanting to take this step to reconnect and repair whatever they feel is broken. By them taking that step, that means that they both are invested in the relationship. They just got sidetracked. I think they want to get back to what they used to have in the beginning that brought them together in the first place. Life gets in the way, stress gets in the way, and even baggage kind of creeps into how we decide to manage things that come up within a relationship that tends to pull us apart from each other or make us have that disconnect. And then that disconnect brings on a lot of strain onto the relationship. And so then couples get to a point when they see themselves struggling. And so then they want help. If one person is over talking the other, if one person is like sitting back and letting the other person kind of take over, or if they're both at each other, I'm looking at the dynamics of where their communication style is when they first walk in
Yeah.
and they sit down and try to explain to me what's going on. I give them that moment to kind of do that.
Okay. So they have one situation that they bring into your session, and it seemed really small on the surface. Mindy asks Mark to handle an after school pickup on a day she has a major work deadline, and Mark forgot. Their kid is waiting at the school office, and Mindy gets the call in the middle of her meeting. And that night, Mindy says, I can't rely on you. Everything has to fall on me. This is feeling personal. But Mark responded and he says, I'm sorry. I don't know what else you want from me. I tried to get out and pick up our kid, but I had a meeting too. And suddenly they're not even talking about picking up the kid anymore. They're talking about trust. They're talking about responsibility and whether it's emotionally safe to depend on each other at all. So why do moments like these feel so big for couples, even when the issue itself is so small? It was a small thing that seemed to just blow completely out of proportion.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like they've been dealing with issues probably along the way. They've been together, like you said, I think you said they've been together for several years. So they've developed habits on how they respond to things. And so at this moment, it's feeling bigger because they've come to the pressure cooker point where things are just piling up and to the point where one person is ready to explode and it catches the other person off guard. And so it sounds like if Mark is wanting to apologize for something that he did, he's defending himself from Mindy, who's exploding at this point,
Mhm.
right? So he's like, I'm sorry, and so I'm curious as to how long that part would last with them. How long will she continue to come at him with that? And at what point is it going to take for him to say, you know what, I'm about to protect myself. I'm about to shut down from this. And when he decides to shut down, she's going to feel alone in this situation, and which may make her either shut down herself and feel like there's no hope, or continue until she gets what she's looking for. So it all depends. She could pursue more to try to get an explanation and understanding of what she's feeling, because it sounds like she's starting to feel like she's alone in this, and that
Mhm.
she's doing all of these things on her own. Mark is saying, "Well, I don't want you to feel that way." And then as he processes that, he may feel like he's just failing at being what she needs. And so that
Mhm.
puts him in a vulnerable space. And now you have these two people, neither one are listening to each other.
Mhm.
So if they're not listening to each other, they're not validating each other. They're not going to come to an understanding of what they need for each other. But neither are wrong for how they respond. I want to point that out. They're not wrong for how they're responding, because the thing is, our body will let us know about things. So we have this nervous system that
Mhm.
helps us identify danger or stress or those things, right? So our body will let us know. So if Mindy is feeling like she's not getting supported, that comes up with a level of stress. So her body is going to respond to that. As her body responds to that, she may react even more. She may pull more in to wanting to try to fix this problem
Mhm.
because she's responding. And then on the other hand, with Mark, he may be feeling attacked. And what does our nervous system do when it starts to feel attacked? Right? We need to try to protect. We want to flight. We want to get out of that situation because we're feeling attacked. Right?
Or you wanna
So
fight.
yeah, which is what Mindy is. I'm glad you said that, because that's what Mindy is wanting
Mhm.
to do. She's wanting to fight. She's wanting some answers. She's wanting some solutions,
Mhm.
but
But
the way
I
she,
think the way she went about it was wrong.
you think so?
I do. I know you said that there's no way wrong way to, but it was wrong to me.
Maybe the way she did it, but their thought patterns behind it, I
Uh-huh.
don't think is wrong. Like for her to feel like she's not feeling the support. And is it wrong for her to feel that way? You know?
No, it's not wrong for her to feel that way.
Okay, so she has a right to feel that way. That's her real feelings, right?
Mhm.
But is he listening to that? Or maybe he is listening and she doesn't feel validated. She doesn't feel like he's listening. And the more she doesn't feel like he's listening, the more she's trying to get him to understand what she's dealing with. So maybe how he's trying to manage her is not helpful, you know?
I think it
So
was what she
mhm,
said. I'm sorry, raise my hand.
go ahead. What's she saying?
I think what she said when she says everything falls on me.
Do you think she built up to that point of feeling like everything falls on her? Because that's a loaded word, like everything.
Everything is a loaded word. It is a
Uh-huh.
loaded word. There are some keywords that I remember that me and my spouse said we won't say is you always and everything. You know, I'm like, man, you cannot be that consistent. Okay?
Yeah. It-
Always and
It's
everything
it's
on
hard.
me.
Yeah, it's hard. But you know what? The key in that is the fact that if you hear it, it triggers you or it
Mhm.
triggers him. And then if you feel triggered and you're in a relationship where you feel safe, you can go back and say, oh, hey, that was triggering. And you can feel safe to say that. That that opens the door for repair,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so, but some people can't even get to that point, because defenses come up, flexions spill out, all kind of things happen to where the 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 whole level of repair, you can't get there anymore. If you say always or you never, and those are or if those are defined triggering words,
Hmm.
then once it's said, because we're human and we might say something, without thinking or carelessly or not maliciously, and it comes out because it's connected to how you're truly feeling at that time. And the other person feels safe enough to say, hey, that was triggering for me, and if that person cares, they're listening, they want validation, and the other person would say, well, I see that was triggering for you. You're letting me know that was triggering for you, and you feel safe enough to go to that person to be able to say that. So in this couple, if always was or never was triggering for Mark, he could either shut down and say, you know what, that was a triggering word. I'm about to shut
Hmm.
down, and I'm gonna withdraw from this conversation because that she said the trigger word. But if he feels safe, he can go to Mindy and say, hey, that was a triggering word for me. This is how I feel when you say this. And some people, it's hard for them to get to that vulnerable state to even talk about how they're feeling.
Well, Mindy tells you that when things fall apart, she feels alone and she panics. And Mark tells you that when emotions rise, he feels overwhelmed and he shuts down. So you diagnosed him pretty well before I even told you.
Yeah, that's a typical couple things that goes on, in a relationship where couples are dedicated to trying to repair.
Mhm.
Like there are times where that may not be the case for some couples where is more deeply rooted. Maybe there's infidelity going on, or maybe there's mental and physical abuse that's going on. So
Mhm.
trying to repair those, that's something that needs to have more guidance for
Yeah.
those couples. That's more deeply rooted. But this couple here, they have some typical things that can lead to divorce if it's not touched upon. It may not be infidelity, it may not be, lies or abuse or things like that, but they are feeling disconnected from each other. And they don't want that because, like you said in the beginning, they love each other deeply. And so here they are trying to repair this.
So Mindy says she doesn't feel heard. And Mark says he feels constantly blamed. When you are reading, you know what? You are reading they what's the word? You reading their mail. You reading their mail.
Reading
That's the
mail?
word. You are reading their mail. So
It's typical like being a fly on the wall, it's just something. Well, Mindy and Mark are a fictitious character for us right here, right? But in all
Mhm.
honesty, this is what I see on a regular basis when I have some typical couple relationships. It is serious. I don't want to minimize it that, oh, they're just having some communication issues. Let's walk through all of these things, right? No,
Mhm.
because communication takes more than just me saying something to you, you saying something to me. It involves a whole lot of things that needs to be navigated through so that you can go from any issue to repair. Because this is not gonna like this one session is not gonna fix all of their future conflicts,
Mm.
right? But it gives them a framework to have more compassion towards each other and understanding and patience. Those are the things that come along with trying to repair something. But you got to get to that point.
So how do how do they how do they even get to fixing the communication problem? How do they I know you said they want to feel understood and it is they completely if one is shutting down and the other one is and nobody is hearing each other, how do they how do they meet in the middle? What is the first step that they need to take?
So I think that the first step would be awareness as far as recognizing the patterns that they've developed over time. They're sitting in my office. Typically what happens is one's talking about what's going on. The other one is not necessarily listening. Sometimes I can see them shut down or they will overtalk the other person because they have to defend themselves. So in
Mhm.
that instance, I have to say, okay, look, we're going to time out in the situation and acknowledge that one person is talking and we need to listen intently and validate that person, whether we agree with them or not. And so it starts off with calming down first. It has to be a calm setting in order for communication, effective communication to take place. So many times that's part of the pattern. It is not a calm situation, or that pattern, it continues or it gets worse over time. All right. So we're starting something new and fresh in this setting where one person is going to speak their mind, speak what's on their heart, and the other person is going to validate what they just heard. So go ahead.
When you say validate, what do you mean?
Okay. So validate, a lot of people get validation kind of confused, like, he's not validating me. And when I hear it sound like that, I immediately feel like there's not a really good understanding of what validation means. So I'm glad you
Mhm.
brought that up. Validation is not agreeing with the person, is acknowledging that you hear them and you can kind of see their point. It's like having compassion towards what they're feeling. So, for instance, Mindy is talking about feeling, she used her feeling words like, I feel stressed and frustrated because it feels like I'm always, and she could use the word, I'm always doing everything. And so Mark can validate that and say, so what you're saying is that you feel stressed, you've been feeling frustrated, there's been a lot on your plate and you're doing a whole lot. And she could say, yes, and then she could feel validated. The opposite would be him not acknowledging any of that. And he can say, well, you taking all of this on yourself. So you coming at me wrong. You accuse me of all of these things. And so, this is why I feel the way I feel. Instead of him validating what she just said, he just deflected.
Yeah, I was about to say it. I was gonna say he
Uh-huh.
deflected. Well, because my response would have been like, "Well, I'm stressed out too."
Now
You
you see
think
the
you
pattern?
doing everything? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he would be deflecting. That would not solve anything. That would just keep it going.
Yeah.
The argument going.
So
Yeah.
does he feel safe to be able to sit there and listen to her? And, does she feel safe to say what she feels, knowing that he's going to actually listen? Does she feel safe to do that? Or will she feel in that moment, he's just going to walk away, he's just going to ignore me again, and we're going to be in the same place? We're going to repeat these same patterns,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So in that moment in my office, we listen to her and I'll say, Mark, can you validate what she just said? And then I have to listen to what he's saying and how he's doing it and see if he's actually doing it. And
Yeah.
he may miss it. And so I would then correct him and say, well, this is what I'm hearing her say, so that he can learn how to validate,
Yeah. And then we
and
hearing
then
a lot of
vice
her.
versa. Yeah. I
We
was gonna say vice versa, right? And so, and then we turn the tables and we're like, okay, Mark, what are your concerns? What are you feeling? What do you want to say to Mindy so that she could validate him, right? And he can say,
I have one.
you know, okay, go ahead.
I don't feel like enough to you because you're always blaming me of doing everything wrong. I can't do anything right.
Okay. So I would tell Mark to start with his feeling words because
Mm.
he needs to express what he's feeling in order for her to validate his emotions. Okay.
I feel that you blame me for everything.
You and it's not a feeling word.
You know that's how
So
people will say it.
yeah, they're actual feeling words. And what's interesting is that, I mean, I don't want to make this out of a man or woman thing, but a lot of times the men do struggle more with grabbing those actual feeling words,
Mhm.
you know, because you know why? It makes them feel less manly if they acknowledge real feeling words, because they're strong. They want to be strong. And if you acknowledge, oh, I'm feeling frustrated, or I feel sad, or I feel lonely, those things, like, it pulls you into the area of vulnerability. And if a man is trying to be strong in that area, it's hard for him to acknowledge that. So he may need work in pulling out those actual feeling words so that she can have an understanding of what she's feeling. She can have an understanding of what he's feeling.
So, would it be better for him to say, I feel like I'm failing you, and that makes me feel sad or upset? Is that
Yeah,
better?
some will, I guess. He might say that. He might say that. He might say, I feel I feel frustrated when you start fussing with me about things. And then when I feel that way, it makes me feel like I've failed you.
Mhm.
So this makes me shut down. Now you play the role of Mindy. How does she validate that?
You you don't want me to be Mindy.
How does
I
Mindy
have to val
validate?
Okay, my validation skill is not that good. Imma be honest. 'Cause
But so acknowledging that is good. So that what I want you to do is put yourself in Mark's shoes
Mm.
in order to validate him. What is he feeling?
Mark is feeling frustrated because we are arguing a lot, and I'm not a good listener. I just realized that. Oh, validation is hard. Because we
I
wanna hear what we wanna hear what we
We
wanna
wanna
hear.
respond. We're
We wanna
hearing we're
respond.
yeah, we already got the comeback. We already got the respond come.
Exactly. 'Cause I knew
Mhm.
what I was gonna tell them. I'm like, "Well, you wouldn't be frustrated if you was doing what I said." That's not what needs to be said.
And that's part of the pattern,
Mhm.
right? That's part
Mhm.
of the pattern, that's that cycle that needs to be broken, you know?
Yeah.
In the beginning of a relationship, we all, like, "Oh, I'm listening to you," I remember talking for hours and about different things, and it was just exciting and stuff like that, and then life gets in the way, and then,
Mhm.
conversations are short, responses are short, and it's not the same, so returning back to that is important. That's how you repair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listening is really important. I just learned that just now is that listening, not listening to respond, but actually just really listening and then repeating back what they just said is hard, but it's something that needs to be done because you just said how Mark felt and I was going to validate and I didn't hear anything he said.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, because you don't agree with him. You don't think he should feel that way.
Yeah. And
So you
I don't
so
get to
you
say
just
that.
invalid yeah, you just invalidated him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the pattern.
Like yeah. Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm. So that takes practice, that takes a lot of practice to recognize that, and we're not gonna get it right. When that defensive wall comes up, the other person should be able to say, "Oh," they should see, like, "Okay." You can feel the tension.
Mhm.
You feel that tension? Where do you feel that tension? That's where you acknowledge where you feel. Oh, you feel it right here? Yeah, you can feel it. And somewhere in your body is going to register like, okay, something is not right here and I'm feeling it.
Mhm.
So, and then that's your nervous system responding to help you better navigate, the situation.
Got you. Got
So
you.
it's very important that we do recognize what we're feeling. A while back, we talked about using the halt, HALT.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, to kind of acknowledge where what you're feeling in the moment. Because if you're feeling frustrated or angry or irritable, it may spill over to that person that you're closest to, right?
True.
Yeah.
You
So if
said
I
halt.
so if I'm feeling stressed, yes, so if I'm feeling stressed, I need to like, okay, halt. Because what I'm feeling is about to spill over to this person who I'm closest to. And if it does happen to spill over and they see it first, they're gonna feel that too. And if you're communicating better, you wouldn't get defensive if that person says, "Hey, I see you seem a little bit irritable today. Are you sleeping okay?
Mhm.
Are you hungry? Hey, let's go eat or whatever." Something like that. Not get defensive or like, "No, I'm fine. Nothing wrong with me." No, it's okay to halt, like, and take an inventory. Like, okay, how am I feeling right now? Because I'm about to jump all into this person's business and go crazy on a minor thing they just did or forgot.
If we go back to Mindy and Mark and that situation where they, he forgot to pick up their kid and
That's
she wanted to
crazy.
talk about it and it was after work. That made me think about so much.
Right.
He probably didn't even want to talk about that. She wanted to have this big discussion, but he was probably hungry or he was probably tired. And that probably wasn't the best time to even have that conversation.
Hmm.
I know a lot of times that some couples want to have conversations at the worst time of the day.
Hmm.
I will say that that I'll be wanting to have conversations at nighttime, knowing
Hmm.
full well we got to get up in the morning and get these kids ready for school. And he'll be like,
Hmm.
can we put a pin in this? I'm like, I don't want to put a pin in nothing. But
Uh-huh.
but no, that's not, I have to understand that, hey, it's not gonna go anywhere if we're both
Yeah.
tired.
I think, yeah, but I think you bring up a good point right there. It's like if you decide you're like, hey, I want to talk about this right now, and he's like, well, let's put a pin in it and talk about it later. Your defense mechanism might come up and say, you know what, we never talk about it again. He always says this, and we never come around to talking about it again.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm feel like, okay, no, I need to fight and talk about this now because you tend to shut down and we're not going to talk about this again. You see how that cycle
Yeah.
can start all over
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
right?
I can
But
see
if
that.
but if yeah, but if he acknowledges that I see you feel like we never really kind of return back to this, you know what? I promise we will this time. I'm tired, you're tired, and this is important to you. I see that's important to you. So, and just so you if and if he does that and she feels safe enough to say and to feel that from him because he's going to honor that. So maybe they'll make room and make time to be able to come back to it. That's part of the repair.
We like
Yeah,
to
that's
set a
part of it.
time. So if I'm too tired to have an in-depth conversation about something that may be bothering him or
Hmm.
me, I'll be like, you know what? Hey, I need to talk to you. Maybe not right now, but can we have a conversation maybe tomorrow at this time when you're available instead of me trying to make it happen because it's not going to happen. We just going to argue. I don't feel like
Right.
arguing. Like I don't feel like arguing either. So we just set it for another time to talk, and that actually has helped us. It made me feel like I'm still being seen and heard, or
Right.
vice versa for him, without infringing on each other's time. And we be tired, you know.
There's one book, I can't think of the name of the book, but they talk about couch time. Like couples should have some type of daily routine of sitting and talking for like 15 minutes or so about the day, just to connect,
Mm.
whether it's about something that's bothering them or just to share that time because life gets so busy lately, especially lately. We're just all so busy
Yes.
and we're making time for all these other things. And then we put our relationships on the back burner and don't make quality time for that. So that would be important to create that routine of that time.
Well, we are moving fast because the next topic is supposed to be naming the pattern, and I think we just named it.
All right. It's like it's all connected, right? It's,
It's
it's
all
all
connected.
intertwined. Yeah.
But I'm gonna read this anyway. So it says, when
Okay.
Mindy feels distressed, she moves towards conversation and connection. When Mark feels distressed, he pulls away to calm himself. The more Mindy presses, the more Mark retreats. The more Mark retreats, the more anxious Mindy becomes. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we just mentioned that. We just mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
she's the one pursuing and he's the one withdrawing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's this pattern. So my question is, how does helping couples name the pattern change the way they see each other during conflict?
Yeah, that's really important to be able to acknowledge that you do see the pattern. And it has to come from a place where everyone's calm. You don't name patterns when you're, on 100
Hmm.
because it's gonna sound like defensive,ness, deflecting, all of the things are gonna just come spewing out, right? But if you can calmly reflect and look, if you can do a inward reflection of how you may present things and how you may see, you just have to look inward in order to see yourself. And if you struggle with that, guess what? Your partner can definitely help you figure that out. And once they give their opinion about what they see, don't take offense to it. Just look within and try to see if you can see those things that they're talking about. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's an acknowledgement of the patterns of what you see. We constantly do these things. And then you talk about it. You have a conversation about it. You know? And that person, one person might say something like, you know what? I think I may do this because of how I saw my parents handle stuff. You know, maybe it's coming from that, or maybe it's coming from fear. You know, if Mark says, well, I tend to shut down because I don't like conflict. I don't want us to escalate it. And I feel like it's gonna make things worse. When I shut down, seemingly subconsciously, I kind of retreat. I'm isolating myself and I'm self-soothing myself so that maybe I can come back. So Mark is self-soothing, and that quietness and that isolation, he might feel more comfortable in that situation and he does not come back.
And what if she don't feel comfortable in the quiet and she just stewing?
She's
Because
doing
if
exactly.
Mindy is like me, I am stewing and I'm sitting here thinking, well, he always do this. And then by the time he come back, if he comes back, I'm
Mhm.
ready to really give him a piece of my mind. And
All right. So
that just
so
keeps the
for
pattern
her,
going.
yeah, so for her, connection helps her to feel better. And he's doing just the opposite. He's disconnecting to help him feel better.
What if she has a
Yes,
fear of abandonment? What if him leaving makes her feel abandoned?
that could be something underlying for her, right? If
Yeah,
she's
and
feeling
she
that way. Mhm.
does not want to be alone.
She doesn't, yeah, she don't want to feel alone, right? Exactly. Which is kind of what she's expressed,
Mhm.
when she was trying to be validated, right?
Oh.
So all of these things are coming up for them in this moment of acknowledgement.
So what I'm saying is that first they need to look at themselves before they can work on the situation together. They need to see, because we're noticing individual issues with them. Like if he's dealing with the fear of escalating a situation and fear of, what was the word you used?
I don't know. That's what I use.
You use the word confrontation, the fear of confrontation. He does not like to confront. He does not like to get into it.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't know that. He's just doing it on autopilot.
Yeah.
And let's say she is not aware that she's afraid of being alone and being abandoned.
Mm.
And she just feel like he's the problem and they're just pointing the finger at who's and trying to figure out who's right. When really, I think they need to take the time to look at what's going on with themselves for a minute before they can work on the relationship together. I would never have noticed that. Let's say if I hadn't did a self-assessment to
Mhm.
notice, why does it make me feel this way when he does this? Why am I triggered? So, and I
Right,
think,
and it could be something deeply rooted too. A
yeah.
lot of times some of these things do come out at the therapy session. But if a couple is really trying to reconnect, and if they're listening to this particular podcast, then maybe they can get to a point and say, you know what, hey, let's sit and talk and see if we can reconnect and repair some things and become closer.
Mhm.
And maybe they could hit the mark, maybe they could do it over time, like, let's keep trying this, whatever. There's really, really good books out there to help couples reconnect and restore their relationships. They kind of talk about some of these same things.
This couple sounds like some of the couples that we have in our new book, Don't Hang Up.
Oh, yeah.
It does. It sounds a
Yes.
lot like Will and Grace. It sounds a lot like those two, but completely
Uh-huh.
different scenarios.
I'm so excited about our new devotional that's going to hit the market soon. It follows four couples with situations that are pretty typical in today's society, right? You probably will be able to relate to their stories. But this is a spiritual devotional as well. It's designed to give an insight on what they're going through and some tools to help them navigate throughout the week. So it's four couples, 4 weeks that you follow. And I'm really excited about it. We've worked really hard on this to make these couples relatable and make the tools easy to follow,
Mhm.
and you can implement these tools which is going to help change the patterns. This podcast was about noticing the patterns, becoming a safe place, and getting to the point of being able to repair, which is actually changing the patterns. So don't hang up. I love how the title is making sure that you don't disconnect, basically, because that's what's happening. Couples are disconnecting from each other. And when that happens, unfortunately, other things are affected, and they get to a point of not knowing what to do next, and it might get worse. And we don't want that. So don't hang up. Invite God's word into the mix, because God talks a lot about connections. I talked a lot about self-regulation, how we go into an isolated moment to self-soothe, right? But we're designed to connect with others. So instead of self-regulation, this is called co-regulation, meaning that we're in communication with each other. We commune with each other, and that brings healing. And so if you're in a relationship with someone or your significant other, this is the person that you want to do life with. This is the person you want to co-regulate with. God designed for us to be in community. He designed us to fellowship. Look, and what the first couple, Adam and Eve, which is actually a couple, and I don't hang up as well, but the modern day. But Adam and Eve, Adam was there, and God said, it's not good for man to be alone. So he created Eve to be there so that they could communicate. So it's always been designed for us to know how to communicate well with each other, right? So that's what I'm excited about, bringing God's word into the Don't Hang Up journal that we've created. It's gonna be great. I'm excited about it.
I love how each week we focus on specific things, and how for each day of that week there is a particular Bible verse. And then I love your tools. The tools are really, really good. And the devotional insight, how she breaks down scripture to really fit the storyline, is amazing. And then she has these, or I say she, we did this together, but but we have these really great reflection questions too, that really makes you think about the couple, and have you see yourself in the situation and how you should respond or would respond. It makes you reflect on yourself and your choices. And then there's this beautiful guided prayer that you follow, and the prayer prays scripture. I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait for it to touch you guys' lives. It's going to be available March the 1st, so please be looking out for it. You can go to our website and put in your email, and you will be the first one to find out when it drops. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. Lastly, I want to leave with a segue into the next episode on relationships, because I know here we're talking about couples, but the next episode, we're still talking about relationships, but relationships with either our best friend, relationships with our parents, relationships with our siblings, coworkers, whoever we need to, we need to have really safe boundaries and good connections with those people, those other people too, that are in our lives, right?
That's true. That's true. Well, this has been awesome. This has been, it feels so good to be back. I miss my microphone. I miss talking to you. Well, you and I, we've been talking for a minute, but we just ain't been on camera. So
I know, right? This is our first debut on being on camera.
Yeah, they get to see us. And I'm just so glad to be back and be speaking with our audience. I'm so glad that we're here. And this has been a wonderful conversation. I can't wait for us to come back and talk about those other type of relationships. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to visit our website. And share. And share. Please go and take a look at that. It's more than just our products. We have so much educational content on there that really touches on a lot of the topics that we've already talked about on our channel. Thank you so much for watching again, and have a blessed day.